Should I do a single Battlegrounds match before we do this? Oh, you know what? This is completely the wrong live stream. Oh, God, I am barely awake, and I'm sorry. It shows. Hey, Bean. Alright, apologies for the typing for a quick second. This is on me being dumb. And let's try that again. Hey, Roy. Yeah, Bean, she's fun. Hey, Mike. Alright. What do y'all think? Should I play one round of Battlegrounds before we do this, just to let some people get here? I feel like that's probably the right move. Hey, Bitter. Yeah, that's totally what I meant for you. Alright, I'll do one round. There was something in here. This isn't the deck that I'm playing most of the time, so let's take another look at this one. Oh, I should probably find a spot for Mysterio now that he's duped. Who was it that I felt weird about not having included already? It's probably Jessica. Most of the rest of these were to... No, Jessica's in there. Most of the rest of these were to make up for... No, she's not. Alright. So a lot of these are good. Basically, let's see if there are any rank 3s I'm running that I could drop. Yeah, Nags has actually not been amazing. Let's throw in Jessica for him. I wouldn't mind dropping one more for Black Panther, but I think I'm gonna leave it as is for now. Hey, Gerald, Char, Dan, welcome everyone. And Sarah Ghost, missed you there. All right, I don't know how awake I am, case in point. So go easy on me here, peeps. No, no. Probably no. We are in that stretch now where we're either going to get stacked accounts or accounts where we should win, I suppose. Just kind of the reality. Which means Jessica's probably a good pick. All 5 of those are very good. Chavez is a good call. Grab you. I might want Chavez for Wiccan if they go that route, but that's doubling down pretty heavily. I think we grab Toad. Good, ASAP. And he wasn't scaling to his full heights in that stream. He'll be better. We have enough defenders. Should I have taken Sunspot? Yeah, I think I should have. But they do have Hitmonkey, which could counter Jess. Nah, never need to apologize, ASAP. Hope everything's going okay for you. Hey, Ninos. I think I have to go Zane here because as obnoxious or as good as Guardian versus Domino is normally, his shock is coded in a weird way where it doesn't sit on the opponent, it keeps reapplying. So Domino just goes nuts with it. Besides, this opponent is doesn't have a duped Domino. Oh, maybe I should have grabbed Blade for that. Hmm. I'm not even sure what I want here, because, like, she's going to be dangerous, and we don't really have a counter. What the frick just happened? Come on, man, my medium didn't take. That's so annoying. Like, I swiped on the right side of the screen after her special one there, and you could see Toad didn't even go for a light attack. It was just, nope. Which is that much more annoying because we can't report inputs in Battlegrounds. There's not enough time. Hey, Ernest. Yeah, Gerald, there definitely seems to be a bit of a supply and demand mismatch, which is unfortunate, but probably necessary. Hey, Phil. Get some sleep and take care, man. Laser, Robbie, welcome. Hey, Rye. This is where we just go Maw. Actually, they got rid of their Hitmonkey. Jess might be worse than Maw. Yeah, they're working on it, Nick. I can't guarantee when, but they're working on it. That's not gonna work. Hey, Devil Dog. Welcome, Wolf. Yeah, Domino might get lucky. Although then it really begs the question, why didn't she use Domino for Nick and Hit Monkey for Jessica? But they're probably not used to having to draft around Jessica bluntly, so I'm not gonna hold it against them too much. Nice, he crit. Haven't had one of those in a bit. Yes, Fel, you should absolutely get at least 2 hours of sleep. Jesus, dude. Yeah. Where do people in top war alliances get all the boosts to be boosting for every fight and every war? So Campo has a good video on this, although it's a bit outdated at this point, about boost farming. I highly recommend that. In a general sense, pay attention to your 7 and 22-hour events and do what you can towards them. Because those events themselves have decent boosts, but they also are what gives you Supreme Solo Crystals, and those give you a lot of boosts. If you see people in top alliances 30% boosted every war, like I usually am, the answer is more money or units, because a lot of people in top alliances spend the 1,000 units every month on the offer at the end of EQ that gives you 10-30% boosts, and or periodically pick up the early access bundles because those also have 30% champion boosts. But the smaller boosts you can pick up pretty reliably by just paying attention to those events. Sorry to hear that, William. I think the latency's been getting a lot better, but, you know, if you have latency in general, this is the mode where it matters. All right, we'll come back to this. Let's go ahead and go over the deep dive. All right, let me turn this off so you don't randomly hear game sounds. And let me grab my headphones. Make sure that this isn't about to blare in my speakers. It is, which means I need to actually turn my headphones off and then back on again. Sorry, guys. I at least know how to navigate my technicals. There it is. And let's go. Oh, wait.
What's going on, Summoners? We're back here today with another Champion Deep Dive. Today, we're talking about Dani Moonstar. So, sit back and relax, because it's time to get into it. Dani enters the contest with Illusions, where she gains a non-stacking passive when either champion's combo meter passes a multiple of 10. This is lost when she's knocked down, and is consumed when blocking a basic attack to inflict her Falter passive for 2.5 seconds on the opponent with 150% potency. This Falter can have its ability accuracy modified and is paused during her special attacks. She also gains an illusion when inflicted with Disorient, Fragility, or Intimidate. If her illusion is consumed while suffering from one of these effects, Dani will attempt to regain it every 10 seconds. Now, when the opponent misses, she gains an indefinite neural arrow. While defending, this also happens when she hits her opponent's block when she has her illusion passive. These max out at 5 stacks and are consumed on the final hit of her special attacks to inflict Neuroshock debuffs, which prevent miss and deal energy damage over 8 seconds. While this is active, skill champions cannot heal. She also gains an indefinite prowess buff when...
So, quick note that I'm going to make here, and I'll make again in her Spotlight video, and we'll probably be making for 6 or 8 months, or longer. Neuroshock is now a type that we are, like, trying to use going, or that we are likely to use going forward. The reason it prevents miss is to give some theming with Cold Snap, which prevents evade. And so if we use Neuroshock again, it will probably deal energy damage and prevent miss. The skill champions cannot heal part is specifically outside of that in another bullet. That is for Dani. If Neuroshock comes back, please, please, please do not assume it's going to counter healing. Alright, let's move on from that.
Faltering the opponent, and 1 more each time she strikes them while faltered. While defending, this also happens when she strikes her opponent while she has her illusion. These max out at 5 stacks, and unless otherwise noted, have 15% potency. If her prowess effects fail to trigger or are removed by the opponent, she gains 1 neural arrow instead. Now, let's check out her special attacks. When activating a special attack while she has at least 1 neural arrow, she removes her prowess buffs and replaces them with prowess passives. These gain 80% potency for each neural arrow consumed, and are removed at the end of the special attack. The special one. On the first hit, she...
Real quick, I want to call out... It's been a little bit. There's a small chance I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. The 80% potency is multiplicative. So the prowess buffs themselves start on the smaller side. And so 5 neural arrows means that the passives are going to be 400% stronger than those buffs. So you throw the special with 5 neural arrows, then during that special your prowess are effectively going to be 5 times stronger. They do not get a flat 80% addition, so just keep that in mind. When was Neuroshock a thing? It wasn't, Gerald. It's new. But what I'm saying is please don't, as a community in the broad sense, make this a kitty plus cowardice thing where the community still hasn't fully realized that cowardice does not remove prowess. It's only in Kitty's kit. I'm trying to get ahead of that with Dani.
Inflicts a slow passive for 20 seconds. She also gains an unblockable passive just before the final hit, lasting 1 second for each neural arrow consumed. Additionally, the final hit inflicts an energy vulnerability passive for 30 seconds. With the special too, each hit grants a 10% impact passive for 5 seconds. This passive increases block penetration and can be inflicted through block. Additionally,
there are enough questions in chat that I want to pause and go over a couple things. First off, hi Zach, Static Omega, welcome, Nom. Neuroshock is a dot effect, yes. It will trigger polka dot power and that kind of thing. It will also trigger cornered. I think if Kate Bishop had not come out the same year, Mong, we probably would have pushed to put perfect release in her, but yeah, we don't want it to be that common, and we also don't want it to be literally every character with a bow, where it's just something we're priced into. Yeah, and hey Snoops.
Activating this special with 5 or more neuro arrows inflicts a 70% overload passive for 30 seconds. This causes hits to deal an additional burst of the damage recently dealt as energy damage.
It's trauma, but for energy, for those of you who know Red Guardian.
The Special 3. At the end of this attack, she gains 6 prowess buffs. The limit for personal prowess buffs is increased to 10 until the end of her next special attack. Additionally, this attack costs 6% less power, and an additional 6% less for each neuro arrow consumed. Now, let's check out her signature ability. When awakened.
Yeah, just speaking to the perfect release thing real quick, I do somewhat agree. Like, I like perfect release quite a bit, but it A, had to be on Kate, and B, I think that it is less of an ask from a design perspective more than a player perspective. It's less of an ask when it's one skill champion a few months after a previous, or no, like literally 2 months after Zemo, 3 months after Bantus, and what, 2 months before Moondragon? And so, like, it was fine if this skill champion wasn't for everyone. The first mutant in over a year? Yeah, that's probably not a champion we want to give perfect release to in case that does make some people feel like they're locked out.
If a Neuroshock or Stun debuff is purified or cleansed off of the opponent, she has up to a 100% chance to inflict a Neuroshock passive, dealing energy damage over 8 seconds. Additionally, when the opponent's health falls below 10% health, she inflicts an indefinite marked passive on the opponent. This reduces their ability accuracy of regeneration, immortality, indestructible, and death immunity effects by 100%. Now let's take her out for a spin in the champion rotation.
Yeah, I mean, it won't stack in the sense, Leninos, that it's not a refund on power. It is a cost reduction. At least I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that. But yes, you can use power backs with her because she has giant specials. Yeah, they're not really comparable, Static. They're aimed at completely different things. Are people against perfect release mechanics? Yes, they are, Ninos. It's not everybody, of course. A lot of people like it, but it's one more thing you have to learn after. I'll put on my best forums. It's one more thing you have to learn after reading a novel to understand how the abilities work in the first place, and it just makes them inaccessible. And then, a little more charitably, it's just not for everyone. Like, from a taste perspective, it's one more thing to follow in gameplay that you may not personally enjoy. And so for one of those reasons or the other, I knew Kate wouldn't be for everybody. And I think that's definitely part of why we kept it off Dani. Nick is going to be the next Terrax and Bishop. Bishop has not been that hard targeted. It's literally just iDoom. Terrax has been hit by a bit more, yeah. I don't think... The thing is that Nick just has so many more defensive abilities than Terrax. It's not going to be that heavy. Like, Mike is doing a great job showing her off here, and Dani counters him quite well. But I don't know that Dani necessarily counters him better than Toad, who's been out for over a year, and people still haven't fully figured out how to reliably take Nick with him. Nick's defensive kit is just kind of overwhelming. I don't think that he's going to stop mattering because Dani exists. Hey, Highline, how's it going, man? I would not bet on Life Cycle Lazarus and Do Not Go Gentle. It's possible. But there's a decent chance that those aren't indestructible under the HUD. A lot of quests use different tech where it's just like health cannot fall below this. But if you're fighting a skill champion, then you should get around the healing part of Life Cycle and Lazarus with Neuroshocks up. That part, I'm sure of. Was that a bit of guilt in my voice talking about Terrax? Just a little bit. It's definitely not all my fault. Wiccan hit him pretty hard, too, just before. But yeah, I did ruin that man's day. Yeah, Penny versus Nick is also a really, really good option for sure. Hey, Viraj. Life Cycle is regen, but Life Cycle isn't just regen. That's kind of my point, Omega. Like, it's... Because that's not the whole thing. Life Cycle is also you can't kill them while the shield is up. And then they regen. So that's... Yeah. We don't have to spend too much time on that, but I wouldn't necessarily bet on it turning off that part. Why didn't Dani get rooted against Zemo after consuming the cleanses? Because that was during a special animation, Magnus, and root does not apply during special animations. That's like one of the primary ways you get around Zemo in the first place, is you apply debuffs during specials.
To begin, strike the opponent and build to 10 in your combo to gain your first illusion. Block a basic attack to activate your Falter, then chain a 5-hit combo into your special 1 to inflict your energy vulnerability passive and gain another illusion.
So I want to point out, already, this has shown how Nick isn't free. Because Mike briefly crossed over 5 when hitting Nick. That means that Nick, got his miscounter. Now, you can play around that, where after that first 5-hit combo, instead of doing the intercept like Mike did, you can parry Nick to reduce the tactical charges, and then, as long as you're parrying frequently, you have that option, given that you're a mutant and you give him fewer in the first place. But, again, Nick has so many defensive abilities, it's not going to be free. Another thing to point out is that Mike got the prowess passives from activating a special with the neural arrows. But there's also still the falter on the opponent, which is paused during specials, which is why he also, from striking a faltered opponent, got 5 prowess buffs. And so this is the main thing to keep in mind with Dani when chasing her big damage, is that ideally you use illusion charges to build these resources, prowess buffs and neural arrows, outside of specials. And then you also activate specials while the opponent is faltered to continue to build those prowess. That's where the big damage comes from. Alright, moving on.
From here, trigger your Falter again to start maxing out your neural arrows and prowess buffs while building up to your special 2. While doing so, use your Falters to gain easy openings. And when you're ready to strike, trigger your Falter and launch your special to gain 5 more prowess buffs as you admire all the red numbers flying across the screen. Oh yeah, and those Neuroshock passives can do that.
So, to keep in mind where those red numbers are coming from, which I know doesn't really matter to everybody, but it does to me. The overload is, again, energy trauma. And so for all of the physical damage that you are doing in the special, you are also doing energy damage as red numbers as a portion of that. The reason the numbers were about equal is that there was also the energy vulnerability active boosting the red number side of things, but not the yellow, but not the white. The reason that that scales well with prowess is that overload, like trauma, is based on damage dealt, so if your specials are hitting harder, you're also doing extra. The thing you're going to notice with Dani is that, like many other mutants, outside of her specials, she's pretty underwhelming. But if you line up those big specials, she feels fantastic.
Now let's check out some of her notable synergies. Like a book. With Phoenix, Professor X, Emma Frost, or Psylocke on the team, on well-timed blocks, all Synergy members gain a non-stacking 20% potency energy resistance passive for 10 seconds. The Illusionists. With Mysterio, Wiccan, Viv Vision, and Spider-Man Supreme on the team, when dodging an attack with dexterity, all Synergy members gain a non-stacking 20% potency physical resistance passive for 10 seconds. The Flight of the Valkyries. With Valkyrie, Angela, or Hela on the team, all Synergy members gain an indefinite 50% potency pierce buff while the opponent has less than 20% health. Did you see a Synergy that shot an arrow through your heart? Thinking of a new Synergy team? Let us know your thoughts below, and let's discuss.
Sorry. That's what I get for clicking twice in rapid succession. Alright. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the Pierce buff, in my opinion, like, yeah, showing it with Valkyrie there is interesting against Rintrah. In my mind, the primary purpose of that is to make it that much easier to kill annoying champions like future Ant-Man or Iron Man Infinity War, because often some of those big tech champions are most annoying, and especially their armor is most annoying right at the end of the fight. The Pierce is going to let you ignore most of it and ignore most of the mitigation of their auto blocks. So really nice ability there. Mainly for Valkyrie, but for all of them. What am I looking at? On the Nick Fury LMD counter, it is not the marked passive. No, because the marked passive is reducing the ability accuracy of a specific list of effects. Nick Fury is not using a named effect. Nor does ability accuracy matter to Nick Fury's LMD. It is under the hood an absolute mess of basically a bunch of middle fingers pointing to all mutants ever in the future. So yeah, the marked passive is not explicitly turning that off because it is very, very difficult to turn that off. Yes, it is more like a Toad conversion, where it's specifically the Neuroshock debuffs turning into Neuroshock passives, blocking, healing, and then doing a tick of damage that kills him. I hear you, Easy. And we were looking at a new mutant tag. And ultimately decided not to, mainly because of how much overlap it has with X-Force, at least given the mutants the new mutants we're currently missing. And then as for like unique specific synergies, bluntly, Warlock, Sunspot, and Magic need 0 help. So that's a little, yeah. We'll see. How does her SIG interact with 6.2 champion final phase? The champion's final phase is at 10%, isn't it? And so the marked passive wouldn't be active yet? Am I remembering that wrong? Also, the champion has extra ability accuracy, so even if she tried to turn off his indestructible, you probably don't want to rely on that. Oh, is it 10? I thought it was 5. Well, then I'm not sure which one would trigger first, because if the indestructible beats the marked passive in applying, then that, but also the extra ability accuracy. Yeah, Nick's LMD is... Yeah, I already said what I said. So to bypass Nick, you need to have a neuro debuff up and KO him. Yes. It's a lot like the way that Toad bypasses his second life, but a bit more absolute. Closer to Penny. Hey, Bleezy. Alright. Well, sadly, we don't have the other deep dive out yet, right? But I think I'm just going to keep moving. Cool. Alright. Maybe when Cannonball comes. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping as well. As someone who would love to call dibs on Cannonball. Because that's the thing, is like, if we have Cannonball and Wolfsbane, then maybe we can start making an argument that it's worth adding separate from X-Force. But we can also just kind of blame comics, I suppose, for how messy the crossover is between those. Hey, Bleezy. How she fare as a defender? She's not really intended as a defender. Personally, I kind of wish she didn't have the impact charges because it muddies those waters a little bit. I kind of think we need to ship more characters with either a lot of defensive mechanics or none, and fewer that just kind of hang out in the middle. But that is a personal soapbox. 1 second. Ah! I had 5 seconds. I was careful. I'm gonna have to restart the game. Okay. Sure. Why not? Yes, I wanted to ban iDoom against somebody where Bishop is one of their top 5. Thank you. That's what I wanted. Who does she compare to damage-wise? I'm not sure, actually. There were a few changes made to her basically after I was done playtesting her. Because, like, after we do the playtests, which is mostly where other designers weigh in, that's when the balance passes go in, and I wasn't as involved with those. So I don't really have a clean answer. I need some defenders. I would love Sunspot, but I need to be a little more proactive. This is not Glad Circuit, Wayne, and I'm not worried about being able to kill Nick, but I would prefer to have iDoom to do it. That's not what I said, Dan. It's very much not what I said. One sec, let me get through this draft. Her miss ability is very limited easy. You have to hit into her block to trigger it. Yeah, Gerald, but if you look at the comics, Deathstrike is much more of a tech than a mutant. No, I did not work on either of these. Not more than I do on every champ just by being on the team, anyway. Doom is so rude. Like, I'm hoping that was clean enough, but yeah, we'll see. I didn't... Okay, so maybe we have enough time. I didn't say I want fewer dual threats. I said I want fewer defenders that are in the middle. That is a different statement. I want us to have dual threats, but I don't want dual threats that aren't actually dual threats. By which I mean, like, I love her design, so I hate that this is always my example, but Valkyrie. Valkyrie very easily could have been designed to be a complete non-issue as a defender. She didn't have to have that combo threshold bit. That's going to run right into Nimrod, but that's fine. We'll deal with it. She didn't have to have that combo threshold bit as a defender. Like, she didn't need that extra clause. And then she would have been way easier to use in quests. And so now Valkyrie is technically a dual threat, right? Because she has an ability that's relevant on defense. Except when was the last time you saw Valkyrie placed on defense? When was the last time you saw that in Battlegrounds or saw it get a kill in War? And that is my fundamental problem. Because it's not actually, like, she's not serving any purposes as a defender, but she's harder for the quest team to use. And that is not good. This didn't work out. Okay. Amazing time for him to only gain 5. No! Never mind. Just missed the freaking special button. Yeah, Stealth Spidey's Evade is another good example. Alright. That would have been a really good run. And instead it was an extremely mediocre one. But yeah, basically, like, I think you easily could have made... Wow. Wow. Ugh. Whatever. You easily could have made stealth less of a threat defensively. They could have been more easily used in quests and in AQ. With that, like that, think about how many completely nothing defenders in Battlegrounds are nightmares in map 8 of AQ because of small little intricacies of their kit. That is the kind of thing that we want less of. Because that's not something... Yeah, that's not actually a good thing. This is going to be terrible. There's no way I win this, but like Valkyrie is probably even worse. I don't agree, Wayne. Valkyrie is not a great round 3 defender. Valkyrie is a break glass in case of emergency and pray your opponent has an absolutely epic meltdown defender. And she could be that without the ability to go stun immune. Please kill. Okay, I'll take it. Don't do this to me. Okay. Yeah, this is a good time to talk about that, Mike. 1 second. I want to make sure that I'm clear on this other thing. So it's not that I think characters shouldn't be dual threats. It's that I think that characters need to be intentional dual threats. And like, if Valkyrie was intended as a dual threat, then I think she actually should have been harder on defense, not where she is now. And that's kind of the thing, is I don't want to... I don't think that we should ship milquetoast defenders, because milquetoast defenders, when thrown into map 8 or incursions, become really annoying. Whereas vanilla defenders are fine, and then can be used as attackers. Because that's the other thing, is think about it this way. We are probably never going to build a mutant aimed at what makes Valkyrie annoying. Because she's not important enough as a defender. And so she's probably not ever really going to get less annoying. That's kind of where I'm coming at. I want defenders to either be more vanilla or strong enough that we build counters for them and not in that no man's land between. Herc, I think, was definitely intended to be a two-way, but you could make the argument he didn't need to be. Yeah, his Infuriate is so annoying. And I think his designer, like many of us, wanted a Cosmic that Doom didn't just walk through, but obviously Doom is still one of the best counters, so was it worth it? I don't know. What am I thinking? Is there anything more to say on this? Yeah. Yeah, I do also want true dual threats. But it's like, Dani... I don't want dual threats that become dual threats by accident because, like, a couple extra mechanics are put on them. I want dual threats that are designed that way from the ground up, if that makes sense. And I don't think
Dani would be on anyone's defensive radar if not for those impact charges on a difficult to dex special 2. That's kind of what I mean. And I realize this is a lot more than I normally say about my colleagues' designs, and I don't want to get negative because I think that Dani is really, really cool. And I don't want to take away from that. I'm more speaking to like a broader trend because I have seen some people be upset that like she isn't better as a defender, and it's like, sure, there's a world in which that could have happened. But I also don't think the community appreciates how difficult it is to build a defender that's interesting but not BS. And there was enough going on in Dani's attacker kit that bluntly it wasn't worth making her a stronger defender. And so then that's where my personal opinion comes in, that she probably should have been even weaker. Because it's one or the other, in my opinion. Not everyone on the character design team agrees with me. I love to hear that, Berserker. Carl was definitely intended to be a bit of a teaching character. It's a bit of both, Bitter, but it's more the latter. Because, like, the quest team having to deal with, oh, right, that is worse than I thought at first, is basically the same reason players underestimate them. Like, because you can look at somebody like, yeah, Shocker, or Black Cat, or Valkyrie, or Stealth Spidey, or honestly, Kate Bishop. Oops. I am not blameless here. You can look at characters like that and go, they're not defenders. And then you just like throw them in a quest. And then you go, whoops, forgot about how that part interacted with their kit. And like, we could just do less of that. Because if you build an Absorbing Man, on the other hand, or an infamous Iron Man, or a Gallon or a Penny, nobody is going to miss that they are a threat. And that's kind of the important part. It's like you want it to be on the radar. I think, yeah, Thor Rags was definitely intended to be a defender, and I would count him as a two-way. He's a two-way that has, like, passed out of relevance, but on his release, that was a good example of an intentional two-way. Exactly, Bitter. Exactly that. Yeah, Thing is an extremely well-designed defender. He is frustrating for some other reasons, including a couple of the old ways in which he's coded. But Thing is a very good, timeless defender. Big agree. First ever rank 5 alongside Adam made me drop Hercules. Can't be thankful enough. That is very cool to hear. Thanks, man. Waiting to test out Atuma. Yeah, Atuma is going to be a much better defender. And again, Atuma was always clocked to be a defender. So, like, to my earlier point, there will be mutants that directly counter Atuma. In a way that there won't be mutants that make Kate easier to fight because she already has counters because she wasn't intended as a defender. And so maybe I could have made her just slightly easier, but whatever. Nobody told me she was going to be featured in Incursions for a full month, so everyone who died to a Kate Bishop boss, I'm sorry. That one, yeah, I mean, that's somewhat true, Omega Beast, but at the same time, like, there are ways to kill Apocalypse with mutants. I fought that same one. It's not that bad. Hulkbuster, why do his armors reduce AA? That one, I think he was always intended as two ways. His kit is literally bifurcated as attack and defense. So I don't think that one was an accident at all. And his armor's reducing offensive ability accuracy fits within the identity of the tech class. There are a number of tech characters that reduce offensive ability accuracy. So that one fits. Okay, now let's go back to Mike's question. And I'm going to take some time on that. For one thing, Mike, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Yeah, so my spiel on Battlegrounds scoring is that... Yeah, actually, this one is a good example. So I have a rank 4 Apocalypse, right? If I had a rank 3 Apocalypse, my opponent would have KO'd them. Playing exactly the same way they did. Making the same mistakes, doing the same things right. My opponent would have KO'd a rank 3 Apocalypse. We know that because the difference is less than that 10% health. And so if we put in even a 1,000 point bonus for KOing the opponent, that would be points my opponent has access to against a rank 3 that they do not have access to because I have a rank 4, which is building into the scoring a direct advantage for roster. In my opinion, there is already enough of an advantage for roster development in Battlegrounds without us baking it into the scoring. Because at the end of the day, 120 seconds as the time limit, and what's the exact... Yeah, 120 seconds and 300% extra health are completely arbitrary numbers. It could be 350% health. It could be 250% health. It could be 124 seconds instead of 120. Those numbers have no moral weight attached to them. And so if we attach weight to them with a KO bonus, then we are ourselves doubling down on the arbitrary nature of it, because then you are going to get points, or more importantly, feel like you miss out on points because you were able to, or because you weren't able to KO an opponent in 120 seconds that you would have been able to KO in 121 seconds. You are able to take down opponents with 100,000 health that you wouldn't be able to take down if they had 102,000 health. And I don't think that's correct. I think that the way it is right now has enough of an incentive, because our opponent, for not KOing Apocalypse, missed out on 3,000 points. If I had played this, I lost this fair and square, because the only reason I lost this was because I missed the special button, and Gallon went into the harvest instead of me throwing that special 2 there. I could have been more healthy. Honestly, I probably had the opportunity to win this fight if I had just focused on using Blade's healing and healing up more. And maybe I give up like a couple thousand in Defender HP remaining, because maybe we don't quite close it out, but I would have gained a few thousand in Attacker HP and probably would have been fine. Like, that's the kind of thing that I mean, is that there already is an incentive for KOing your opponent. The incentive is that if you don't KO your opponent, you're missing out on Defender HP remaining, and you're missing out on fight duration. Because if you don't KO, this number at the bottom is always 0. If you beat it by even a few seconds, look, that 875, that's my KO bonus. That is literally my KO bonus. If we add anything onto that, then we are exacerbating roster differences and fundamentally making Battlegrounds more pay to win. I don't think we should do that. And it is really, really weird to me that the community is constantly saying Kabam needs to chill with making things pay to win, needs to be more free to play friendly. But so many people in the community specifically ask for something where the inevitable result would be for the mode to be more pay to win. Yeah, like Na says, if you want to change the scoring, you can argue that timing should be worth more or less. You can argue defender HP remaining should be worth more or less. But we do not need to add a flat sum because of an arbitrary number. Yeah, Void is definitely a timeless defender. Like Wayne says, sure, Void is easy, but like until any node goes on him, or until you mess up once. And that's exactly why Void is timeless as a defender. Because he is beatable in a vacuum by literally anybody, but becomes really scary with even a few small tweaks or with one mistake. Void is a very, very good defensive design. Hey, ESB. Yeah, no problem, Mike. I've sorry for like I know it was in the middle of a match or something last time. So apologies for being abrupt. Because I have talked about this before, but that doesn't mean everybody was here before. And I know that even after hearing this spiel that some people disagree with me. That's fine. You're allowed to, but I'm not budging on this. I don't want Battlegrounds to give any more weight to rosters. I win enough off the strength of my roster. Yeah, exactly, Matt. Is there a reason in Battlegrounds that Void debuffs instantly stick instead of having the timer? I'm actually not entirely sure, Rye. I have a suspicion, but I haven't followed up on it. Thank you for reminding me. Sending that to myself to follow up on Monday. Ah, living teammates. Thank you. Okay. I forgot it was related to that. I thought it was more just defense versus offense, but it makes sense if I'm not paying attention that that's exactly what it is. And that is why it feels easier in story content. I don't think it's BS, Wayne. Flip it around, it's the reason that MODOK is easier in Battlegrounds, so you're welcome. Fair enough, pleasey. That's where a lot of things come from in this game, isn't it? I don't know that I yet agree Quicksilver is fun to fight. I think he has like one or two too many tricks going on. Really, I think, you know what? It comes down to this. If Quicksilver's Special 1 worked the way that Guardians perfect block works. And if you parried the first hit, you blocked the whole thing. I think I would think of Quicksilver as a perfect defensive design. That's really my core problem. Because I think the hits are too quick for you to, like, especially given everything that's going on with VFX, it doesn't feel like a fair ask.
I guess we're just continuing to draw direct counters to what our opponent is doing instead of actually getting defenders, but this is okay.
Hey, Pete, how's it going, man? Yeah, there are counters to Quicksilver. And I think Quicksilver is much like Scorpion annoys me because I think he has too many abilities. Quicksilver, his abilities are annoying, which is a difference. And like I said, I think there's just like that one that goes too far. My opponents normally ban the champs I make, Hussein. I don't take it personally. Been nice to get back into Sunspot. I think Hulkling also has too much stuff. I don't agree. Hulkling is just a good defender. There are clear counters for everything he does. I did not make Valk. No. Valkyrie's design was done before I came into the company. That's definitely what it looked like to me, Wally, that they think I'm modding. Cool, bud. And then it timed out. I wonder if they, like, salt disconnected. No, XN. Dani isn't mine. Dani is Kabam Eclipse, who was actually on the live stream yesterday.
It's so weird for iBomb to look small in a fight. But one large Canadian furball. Whoa, he tried to get me with that light there. I hate when they do that. And why did he not? Why didn't you go unstoppable? Oh, not duped. That's right. I always forget that that's what that's part of. Alright, we know that we're not likely to win on time here, but let's see if Nick was enough of a jerk for us to win on health. Didn't mean to dash back there. Don't appreciate that. Alright, if you could go into Wrath, that would be lovely. I did technically ask for that. Yeah, Dan. I need to push back on that rage. Brian Grant did not design Immortal Abomination. Brian Grant helped with Immortal Abomination. I'm not trying to take anything away from Brian. I think he would say the same, but there is a pretty big difference. Yeah, it definitely looks like we're getting 2 instead of 1. I think I saw that reported in the CCP, though, so it'll probably get fixed. Nice, XN. Iceman is also pretty decent to counter Mordo and Quicksilver. Yeah, that one makes sense. Does Korg have an AI that doesn't like dashing at you? I don't think so. I think that's confirmation bias because you're trying to force it. Yeah. It's on wearing shorts. Ugh. What I said yesterday in the CCP is that I've now been working from home for close to a year. Wearing shorts is above the minimum. That does sound like confirmation bias, but that's interesting to test, Wayne. I don't think I can say what class my next champ is. I have said that they're not a repeat. Way too many people don't run MD. Yeah, I'm not worried. Yeah, iBomb is definitely a good design. And Brian gets credit for helping out, for sure. I've just seen a lot of the like CCP partnership with designer ends up meaning that the CCP member gets the full credit because that's the name that people recognize, and that's not really fair. iBomb was Broccoli. Definitely one of his more balanced jams. Hey, images. I've explained this before, Nick, but basically, the thing about the buff program to remember is that there's no guarantee about when things come out, right? Because this recent announcement about future Ant-Man is a really good example.
because if not for the bug, we would have just said, cool, Cassie and Zane are good to go. Let's put a buff right there in that beta. Like, that is exactly what we want to do with rebalancing. But we found a bug, we have to beta changes for Zane, and therefore we don't have the capacity for also workshopping and testing a bug or a buff in that beta. And so, like, I have a couple buffs on the shelf, yes, but that doesn't mean that they're going to come out next month or the month after that or even this year. There's no guarantee. And it depends on what needs to be done with the rebalancing program. But yeah, at some point, I definitely have a few I want to ship. Oh yeah, Berserker. Same person also made Nick Fury, Apocalypse, and Doom. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and call the stream here. That's why I hadn't hit play now yet. Sorry to disappoint. Let me make sure that there's nothing to open. But I don't think there is. I need to grab lunch ahead of war planning. But appreciate all of y'all hanging out. This was always intended to be a short one, but I wanted to talk about Dani, do a little bit of Battlegrounds. And I will catch y'all later. Thanks, everyone.